James Finley Ransone III was born on June 2, 1979, in Baltimore, Maryland, into a working-class household shaped by emotional instability, absence, and unresolved trauma, circumstances that would quietly define both his personality and his artistic voice, long before fame ever found him. His father, James Finley Ransone II, a Vietnam War veteran, struggled with the long psychological after-effects of war and was largely absent during James's childhood, while his mother Joyce raised him with limited resources in an environment where emotional security was inconsistent, leaving Ransone to grow up feeling disconnected, restless, and unsure of his own identity, particularly lacking a stable male role model. And as a child, he exhibited intense sensitivity and volatility, often feeling overwhelmed by emotions he could not explain, which made school and social life difficult and pushed him toward isolation. His early struggles deepened during adolescence when he experienced sexual abuse by a tutor, a trauma he buried for decades out of shame and fear, internalizing pain that later manifested as addiction, anger, and self-destructive tendencies. And without guidance or emotional tools to process this abuse, Ransone turned inward, experimenting with substances and rebelling against authority while searching for something that could give his pain meaning. That meaning began to emerge through art, and when he enrolled at the George Washington Carver Center for Arts and Technology, he finally found a space where emotional intensity was not punished, but valued, discovering that acting allowed him to express fear, insecurity, humor, and rage in a way that felt honest rather than dangerous. And although he briefly studied visual arts in New York City, financial pressure and emotional instability made formal education difficult, pushing him instead toward the unpredictable path of independent acting. His early career was defined by struggle rather than success, taking small, often disturbing roles in low-budget films that offered little money or security. And during this period, he lived with constant financial anxiety, rejection, and self-doubt, questioning whether acting was salvation or another form of escape. Everything changed in 2002 when he landed the role that made him famous, portraying Chester Ziggy Sobotka in the second season of HBO's The Wire, a career-defining breakthrough that transformed him from an unknown actor into one of television's most talked-about character performers. As Ziggy's reckless behavior, desperate need for validation, emotional immaturity, and tragic downfall felt devastatingly real, and audiences and critics alike recognized that Ransone was not merely acting but exposing something deeply personal on screen, which is why the role remains one of the most haunting arcs in television history and firmly established his reputation for raw emotional authenticity. However, fame did not bring stability, and rather than transitioning into leading men roles, Ransone became known for intense, psychologically complex supporting characters, building his career through projects like Generation Kill, where his portrayal of Corporal Joss Rayperson further solidified his reputation for realism, sarcasm layered with vulnerability, and emotional depth. Behind the scenes, however, his early success coincided with worsening addiction, and by his mid-20s he was deeply dependent on heroin, drowning in debt, isolating himself, and cycling between brief periods of work and emotional collapse, later admitting that he often used drugs, not for pleasure, but to numb unresolved childhood trauma and the psychological toll of embodying damaged characters. Recovery came only after hitting a personal breaking point, when sobriety forced him to confront both addiction and the buried abuse that fueled it, a painful process that reshaped his identity and career. And once sober, his performances gained greater control and maturity without losing intensity, leading to a resurgence through horror films like Sinister and Sinister 2, where his unsettling realism made him a standout figure in the genre, followed by critically praised independent films such as Tangerine. His fame expanded to a new generation in 2019, when he portrayed adult Eddie Casbrook in It Chapter 2, a role that perfectly aligned with his public image as an actor who specialized in portraying anxiety, trauma, and quiet courage, and his performance resonated because it mirrored his own life experience of fear, transformed into resilience. Despite growing recognition, Ransone avoided celebrity culture, choosing privacy over publicity, grounding himself in music, visual art, and family life. And he found stability in his marriage to Jamie McPhee and in fatherhood to his 2 children, deliberately shielding his family from the spotlight. Financially, after more than 2 decades of steady work across television, film, and independent cinema, His estimated net worth reached between $1.50 and $2 million, reflecting a career built on consistency rather than commercial spectacle. And although his life ultimately ended tragically in December 2025 at the age of 46, James Ransone's legacy endures, not simply because he was famous, but because he represented a rare kind of actor whose fame came from truth rather than polish, whose breakthrough was earned through vulnerability rather than image, and whose performances remain powerful because they were drawn from real struggle, real pain, and a relentless pursuit of honesty.